Hi, my name is Wayne, and this is Type Tested. More work on the Hermes 2000. I've got the thing cleaned up and mostly put back together, and now I need to do a little bit of a brief adjustment, and thought I'd show you how to do that on this particular typewriter. And that, as you can see, is a pretty significant shift offset. Now, doing that on this particular typewriter isn't difficult. The problem is getting at the adjustment points. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So on this particular typewriter, the disassembly is a little bit more involved than on others, and I'll mention I've already removed some of the screws just to make it a little bit faster to do. So the body here is held on by actually 10 screws. It's really, things were done a little excessively here, and some of it debatable. But I'm going to show you how to handle that here. So the first thing you need to do is there's a screw in the back here. You can see the hole here where I've taken it out, and one on each side. So that's the first step. Second step is to pull the ribbon cover and get at this section here. And there's a screw down here that is holding both this and the body onto the frame. There's a second screw back here which is holding just this, but pinches the frame. So one has to be removed and one has to be loosened. And getting at those requires removing the ribbon cups and the support platforms. So that is done by these 3 screws here. I'll get my little magnetic cup over here. Get that out of the way. And the ribbon cups are identical, but the platforms beneath them are not. So you don't necessarily need to keep track of the cups, but you do need to make sure you put the platform on the right side. So this comes off, and this comes off here. And note there's a hole for the ribbon reverse arm / ribbon guide to go through it. The bottom of this is unpainted, so like I said, you can't just flip it over and use it on the other side. You need to make sure it stays here. Now when you get this off, you can actually, if you want, just go ahead and pull the gear and the spindle out and clean it and clean whatever's underneath. I actually like that. I hate when you can't get the ribbon cups off because it makes accessing things underneath so very difficult. So now let me show you the screws here. So here is the back one. You can see it right back here. You just need to loosen that like about half a turn. And up here, you can see this hole, that's for the front one. You can see there's a little ring that goes around it, a little tab here that attaches to the body. That both attaches to the body and attaches to the front cover. So with those off, the next step is to put the ribbon cover and so on back in place, because you have to have the ribbon present to be able to do the adjustment. That's one of the things that makes this kind of annoying. So let me go ahead and try to get this lined up. And I'm only going to put a couple of screws in here, just enough to keep things from moving around. I'm not really going to tighten them down. I just want to get them in place so that the platform and the cup doesn't move. Put the ribbon back in here, and I've also taken the screw off the other side, so I don't have to deal with that, but I will loosen this one up here just a bit. Now, if you want, you can try to take that screw out here, lift it up, and kind of work it back here where you can get it out, or over here. But it's a very good chance it's going to fall off your screwdriver, so easier just to do that. Now, underneath is another matter. Let's go ahead and prop this up here, show you. Now, as I said, I've already taken the screws out here. You can see that there are 2 on the sides, but as I mentioned, there were 10 screws. So we've only talked about 8. The other 2 are the feet, because you'll notice that there is a bit for the body panel and also a bit in the frame that's threaded to receive the foot. So all of these have to come off, but that presents a problem. If you'll note, real quick, here is our shift key. You'll notice that it comes down, if I can find this and focus it, below the body. So if you're going to be working on this typewriter, this is one of those where you need to have some clearance beneath it. So I need to put the feet back on after you take the body off, or you need to have something underneath it and make sure that this sits out just a little above it so that the spacebar and everything, the shift, will all have enough clearance to work. So once you get the body screws off, you should be able to just simply gently pry the body panel off of the typewriter and lift it up. Let me get the camera out of the way. And you'll note that in here there are felt pads for the spacebar as the upper stop. Another problem is the ribbon coming out because I forgot to put the ribbon cover back on to hold it in place. But we'll deal with that in just a little bit. And I will point out that if you look down here, you'll see that the downward stop for the spacebar is here. And there is a little bit of rubber over that tab. So you have felt silencing the upward stop and a little bit of rubber trying to silence the downward stop. So when you put this back in, you need to make sure that this goes underneath the body panel because right now it sits above it. So let me back up here. And let me put this ribbon back in. Okay. It's got the proper path. Now, here is the adjustment point. And you notice this is a carriage shift unit. So here is the lowercase stop. There is the uppercase stop. So in my particular case, you'll notice that the uppercase is printing significantly higher than the lowercase. So now I'm going to loosen up this nut, and from earlier experimentation I already know this is 6mm. So let me go ahead and do that. And normally on a lot of machines you'd want to have a flat blade screwdriver in that slot because the nut, loosening the nut will tend to loosen that screw as well, or move that screw. Now, thing about this, the text is printing high. That means I need to make the platen go up higher so the text prints lower. So that means I need to back the screw off so that the print comes up. So first I want to go ahead and loosen up the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and give it sufficient clearance that it's not engaging. If I can get the screw to stay in the screw head. Okay, back that out a little bit more. Now, the only stop that is engaging is this one here. The other side, there is a physical gap. So I know that this is what's going to set my adjustment. The problem here is I have to remember to hit the right shift key. Because if I use the left, depending on how the typewriter is designed, it may work more on that stop than this one, and I won't be able to do the adjustment. So if you are uncertain about what to do both of them at the same time and by the same amount. So go ahead and make this adjustment. I'm going to pull it out by about half a turn. And then, to make sure that the screw doesn't vibrate loose, I'm going to snug this nut up and go back and do another test. Looks like I need to come up a little bit further. So we go ahead and do that over here. Tiniest amount more. So I'm not quite sure what's up with that one, but I will take the rest. So I'm now going to go over here and I am going to hold the adjustment steady while I tighten up the lock nut. Check the adjustment again. And it looks okay. So now I'm going to go over here to the other side, and I am going to set the adjustment to the same level by minding the gap and driving the screw in until it just touches that bar. Okay, you tighten that screw up, or the nut. Oh, come on. There we go. Check the adjustment again. Yeah. For some reason the spacebar won't advance. Very weird. I may have just knocked something off. Okay, something's weird. All right, I'm going to pause the video for a bit while I deal with this. Okay, so let me show you what just happened. There is spacebar linkage here, and this little arm presses up this, which is the actual escapement trip. This arm, because of the elevation of the spacebar right now, had slipped to the other side of the trip and was not engaging. So something to watch out for when you take the case off. So I'll go back up here, test again, and see how we're doing. Just to see if I overdid it. I think I did just slightly. Right. Now, the last thing I need to do is I need to make sure that the shift is balanced. So I have my usual little slip of notebook paper here, and I use this because it's very thin. So move the stop up, see what tension there is on here. Go back to this other side and do the same thing. And there's not quite as much tension over here as there is there. You can see the paper pulling out. So now I'm going to loosen this nut, carriage out of the way, and bring this down just a little bit. Check it again. So now I have good tension here, and I have good tension on the other side. Again, let me hold that in place. Right. And on the other side, I'll make sure it's snug. Now that I've gotten them all tightened down, I need to test one more time. And that looks pretty good. So now all I need to do is put this thing back together. And I'll note that part of the reason I loosened that screw up over here was because there's a little bit of a lip. You can see it here on the body that runs up here, and the little tab on top of the body panel has to go above that lip but under this. So loosening that makes it a little bit easier to do that job. Anyway, there you have it. Shift adjustment on a Hermes 2000, and along with basic disassembly for cleaning. Once again, my name is Wayne, and this is Type Tested.